and social justice. The Prime Minister of Japan will carry back to his country the good wishes of the nations assembled here, and their hope that the second half of the 20th century may bring to Japan as to the whole world relief from present anxieties and the attainment of lasting peace and prosperity for the nations and their peoples. Let peace, progress, and security march on.
We shall proceed with the signature of the Treaty of Peace with Japan. The Secretary General will call the name of each country which has indicated its intention to sign the treaty.
Argentina.
Thus, the first signature goes on to the Japanese peace treaty, and Argentina is at peace with Japan. The Australian delegate is Mr. Percy Spender, Ambassador to the United States and Vice Chairman of this meeting.
The Kingdom of Belgium.
For Belgium, the signature will be that of Paul Van Zeeland, Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Bolivia.
Bolivian signatory is Luis Fernando Guachala, Ambassador to the United States and Permanent Representative to the Organization of American States. As you note, each of the signatories is receiving the pen with which he signed the Japanese peace treaty. The Brazilian delegate is Carlos Martins, Ambassador to the United States of Brazil. For the historical record, some of the delegates are permitting the alternate chief delegates of their delegation to sign one or two of the copies of the treaty.
Cambodia.
Representative from Cambodia is Niao Fleng, his country's Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Canada.
Canada's chief delegate here, Mr. Lester Pearson, Canada's Minister of External Affairs. And the Canadian alternate delegate, Mr. R.W. Mayhew, Minister of Fisheries, also will sign the treaty. Since fishing rights in the Pacific are of major importance to the countries on the Pacific, it is significant that a signatory to the treaty will be the Minister of Fisheries of one of the major Pacific nations, Canada.
Ceylon.
And this is Mr. G.C.S. Correa, Ambassador to the United States for Ceylon. A third member will sign for the Ceylon delegation. He is Mr. R.G. Sananayake, Parliamentary Secretary for the Ministry of External Affairs of Ceylon.
Chile.
The delegate from Chile, Mr. Felix Nieto del Rio, Ambassador to the United States.
Colombia.
The signer of the Japanese peace treaty for Colombia is Senor Cipriano Restrepo Yaramillo, Ambassador to the United States. The other signer for Colombia, Sebastian Ospina, Consul General for Colombia in San Francisco.
Costa Rica.
Delegate from Costa Rica, J. Rafael Oria Muno. He is Costa Rica's ambassador to the United States. Apparently, others from Costa Rica also will sign. The number of delegates who sign the treaty are determined by each nation. Some nations require that more than one delegate sign the treaty because of the parliamentary procedure in their own countries. For other countries, it is merely a courtesy that the chief delegate extends to the other delegates here. Second signer for Costa Rica was Victor Vargas, Minister and Legal Advisor for the Foreign Office of that country. And the signer now at the table, Luis Doble Sanchez, Chief of Protocol. Some of the nations send a chief delegate and then alternate delegates. In that case, it is a matter of courtesy on the part of the chief delegate to permit the others to sign. On the other hand, some nations send a panel of delegates with equal powers. In that case, they all sign automatically. Signing now for Cuba, Mr. Oscar Gans, that country's Minister of State. And now, Mr. Luis Machado, Ambassador to the United States. It might be noted that Mr. Machado and John Foster Dulles, the Chief Delegate from the United States, together signed the Treaty of Versailles, the only two such delegates at this conference, a historic moment for both of them. Signing also for Cuba now, Joaquin E. Meyer, Minister Plenipotentiary for Cuba.
The Dominican Republic.
And there is the first notice of defection by the communists. Czechoslovakia was next in the alphabetical order, but Czechoslovakia did not appear for this treaty signing ceremony this morning. Dominican Republic represented here, about to sign the Japanese peace treaty, Virgilio Diaz Ordonez. Minister of Foreign Affairs for the Dominican Republic. Also signing for his country, Senor Luis Francisco Tomen, Ambassador to the United States.
Ecuador.
The delegate from Ecuador, Mr. Antonio J. Quevedo, representative to the United Nations from Ecuador. And also signing for Ecuador, Rafael Guerrero Valenzuela, Consul General in San Francisco.
Egypt.
The Egyptians signing the Japanese peace treaty, Mohammed Kamil Bey Abdul Rahim, Ambassador to the United States.
El Salvador.
Signing for El Salvador, Hector David Castro, Ambassador to the United States. And his co-delegate, Luis Rivas Palacios, an attorney sent here for this conference.
Ethiopia.
The Ethiopian delegate, Menberi Yahya Hairad, is Minister of Ethiopia in Mexico.
France.
Signing for France, Robert Schumann, Minister of Foreign Affairs. He will be joined by 2 other French co-signers. Taking his seat at the signing table now, Henri Bonnet, Ambassador to the United States from France. And now, Paul-Émile Nadjar, Ambassador at Large for France.
Greece.
Signing for Greece, Athanasia G. Politis, his nation's ambassador to the United States and Greece's first post-war ambassador to Moscow. You will notice that more than one book is being signed by most of the delegates here. The reason for that is that one of the books contains the actual treaty with Japan. The other is the protocol, which in effect is a contract binding these nations to the terms of the treaty and certain subsequent arrangements. Some of the nations, most of those with a federal constitution patterned on that of the United States, including the United States, cannot by law sign such protocol. Therefore, the United States and some other nations sign only the treaty itself, that treaty then to be ratified by their own federal governments, which in effect is a signing of the protocol, although no such actual signature is affixed at this time. The Guatemalan delegates who are signing, Eduardo Castillo Arreola, who just signed a moment ago, chief of the legal section of the Foreign Office. The man who just finished signing, Jose Luis Mendoza, chief of the Guatemalan treaty section. And now Alfonso Maraquin Orellana, undersecretary of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala.
Haiti.
The Haitian signer, Jacques-N. Léger, Minister of Foreign Affairs for Haiti. And the co-signer for Haiti, Christophe Larac, Ambassador to the United States.
Honduras.
Now signing for Honduras, J. Edgardo Valenzuela, Minister of Foreign Affairs for Honduras. And now, Roberto Galvez Barnes, Director of Civil Aviation. And Raul Alvarado Trochez, Consul General of Honduras in San Francisco.
Indonesia.
The Indonesian delegate, Ahmad Subarjo, Minister of Foreign Affairs. The Indonesians are signing with considerable reservations. They desire specific reparations which are not provided in the treaty. You are present at the Japanese Peace Conference, brought to you by the television networks and stations of the United States.
This is the CBS television network. WCBS TV, New York.
Delegate Ali Goli Ardalan, a permanent delegate of his nation to the United Nations.
Iraq.
The signer for Iraq, Abdullah Ibrahim Bakr, Minister Plenipotentiary from Iraq to the United States.
Laos.
The treaty is being signed for Laos by Crown Prince Savan, President of Laos. This is one of the Indo-Chinese states, the three Indo-Chinese states established since the war by France.
Lebanon.
Signer for Lebanon, Charles Malik, Minister Plenipotentiary.
Liberia.
Signing for Liberia, Gabriel L. Dennis, Secretary of State and Minister of Foreign Affairs. And now, a second of the three co-signers for Liberia, James N. Anderson, a member of the Liberian Senate. And the last signer for Liberia, Raymond Horace, Solicitor General for Liberia. The fourth signer for Liberia, J. Rudolph Grimes, advisor to the Liberian delegation.
The Grand Duchy of Luxembourg.
Signing for Luxembourg, his nation's Minister Plenipotentiary, Hughes Le Gallet.
Mexico.
The first signer for Mexico, Refugio de la Colina, Ambassador to the United States. And now Gustavo Diaz Ordaz, Senator for Mexico. And Alfonso Perez Casca, Secretary of the Permanent Committee of Congress in Mexico.
The Kingdom of the Netherlands.
Netherlands delegates, Dirk U. Sticker, Minister of Foreign Affairs, John H. Van Ruygen, Ambassador to the United States. And the Baron G.E. Van Itterson, Chief of the East Asian Division of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, also one of the three co-delegates from the Netherlands.
New Zealand.
With wit, but it was a hard-hitting speech, too.
Nicaragua.
Signing for Nicaragua, Guillermo Sevilla Sacasa, Ambassador to the United States from Nicaragua. And also for Nicaragua, Gustavo Manzanares Hernandez, Senator and Secretary of the Conservative Party in Nicaragua.
The Kingdom of Norway.
Norway's chief delegate to this Japanese Peace Treaty Conference, Wilhelm de Morgenstern, Ambassador to the United States.
Pakistan.
The provisions of the peace treaty, Yugoslavia did not answer the
Panama.
American invitation to attend. Signing for Panama, Ignacio Molino, Minister of Foreign Affairs. And the second of four who apparently was signed for Panama, Colonel Jose Antonio Ramon, commander of Panama's National Police. It was Colonel Ramon who put down a revolt in Panama not many months ago and has been said to be one of his country's most powerful figures. Signing just then, Alfredo Adaman, former Minister of Government and Justice. And now Julio Cordovez, Consul General for Panama in San Francisco.
Paraguay.
Signing for Paraguay, Louis Oscar Bettner, Ambassador to the United States.
Peru.
Signing for Peru, Fernando Berkmeyer, Ambassador to the United States.
The Republic of the Philippines.
Joaquin Elizalde, Ambassador to the United States from the Philippines. Vicente Francisco, Chairman of the Philippines Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Diosdado Macapagal, Chairman of the House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committee in the Philippines. Emiliano Triatarona of the Philippine Senate. Vicente G. Cinco of the University of the Philippines. Internal politics of the Asian nations played an important part in the selection of their delegations. Felt it was necessary that all elements of public opinion and political opinion in these nations be
Saudi
represented
Arabia.
so that there could be no domestic internal political recriminations on the basis of the treaty signing. The second of the communist delegations has just been skipped. Poland would have been the next in line alphabetically. Poland is not here to sign the treaty, failed to show up for this morning's treaty signing session, and now the Saudi Arabian delegate, Sheikh Assad al-Faqih, Ambassador to the United States.
Syria.
The Syrian delegate signing the Japanese peace treaty, Fayez Okori, Minister Plenipotentiary of his nation.
The